So how's everyone doing? Yeah. So it's Saturday. It's only Saturday morning. There's still so much to go. So how many of you have seen Zootopia?
I think all.
Is there anyone here who hasn't seen Zootopia?
What?
Okay. Of course, I just realized all three of you. Yes.
I can't get all of you guys. So.
Right. Who here's a furry? Oh my God, they have furries in their midst.
Raise your hand.
It's about 1 minute to go. And also, if you guys are stopping my booth in the vendor hall, I have these little Nick and Judy duckies as well as these awesome Zootopia pins. So make sure to stop by and get those.
Get them, they're awesome.
Gifts for you guys.
Oh!
Here, Race.
Thank you.
Race, you can hold Nick during the panel if you want.
Here, let's be our representative here.
Come on, have him as your mascot.
He needs to stand on his own.
Yes, they're gonna
wait it out.
They're very close.
Is Paleo a zebra?
Okay. They did say they were allowed to come in.
I think so.
You're right.
Alright, we're just going to close the door then.
Paleo, what are you?
Yeah, what are you?
An okapi.
What?
She's an okapi.
We're a dolphin.
Dolphin that back. Race.
What?
You're like
I want that back. Don't steal it.
Yeah, and I'm an okapi.
Why aren't you?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see if you get it
What?
back.
It's not a dolphin or a cat.
I may get time for that.
Or a dinosaur.
No, because like I wanted to choose something that would be in Zootopia.
That would be in Zootopia.
What?
Oh my God, the sloth seed.
Yeah,
Alright, everybody, we're starting now, so let's get quiet down.
That's Swinton. Two.
This is why forevermore I will always hate the DMV. They try to be helpful, but other times they're so rude. And you've been there too long.
Why I'm not getting this?
Come on, you guys sing it along. All right, thank you, everybody.
Alright, see you all next year.
Yeah, thank you for coming
All
out.
right, welcome to minute 41 of the Zootopia Minute Podcast. I am your co-host because my co-host is not here. I am Choco Pony. You guys might know me in the pony fandom for doing pony stuff like selling art and stuff. I'm a con artist just like Nick. That's why I'm dressed like Nick. And for those who don't know, that song was composed to us by one of our good friends, All Levels at Once. So if you see him, he's not in the room right now, but if you see him, say thank you. That was an amazing rendition of the song. And because my co-host is not here, I am joined by 3 special guests who may or may not be very, very big Zootopia fans, depending on who's judging. And I'll let my first guest, to my right, introduce himself, and they'll go down the line. So,
Hi, I'm Paleosteno, and I do a bunch of stuff on YouTube with movie reviews and cartoons and like especially animated movies like Zootopia.
You didn't admit your problem.
That's my problem.
How obsessed you are with Zootopia.
I know.
Paleo.
Hey guys,
Can't stop.
I'm ACRacebest, a YouTuber. And I think I saw Zootopia once.
Here's a doll.
At least 30 times.
And my name's Saberspark. And
Hi, Saberspark.
hey, thank you. And my buddy here, Reyes, has gotten me hooked on this movie as well.
First, you
Thank you all for joining us.
You and your problems.
Hi, since you guys are all here, perfect timing for you guys to sign in for me.
Okay, well, for people who are listening on the panel, I guess, this is being recorded. We have some random staffer just come and interrupt us, so I guess you'll be edited in the panel. That's weird.
Cool, don't put my face on it.
Oh, I guess
It's too late. This is live streamed, buddy.
Yeah, fine. I guess an
No, it's funny because we're going to go over a very bureaucratic scene with the DMV, and you have bureaucratic work to do with these signs.
How ironic is that?
It is.
I just
sign
got
it.
here.
Yeah, I guess
Just
they didn't
make
have
sure
it.
you guys are here and
It's all good, son.
You have duct
This is just his way to get our autographs.
Oh, what?
It's like,
All right, so now I guess we'll just start with that 1 minute. Yes. So that is probably the most infamous scene of the movie. Before the movie even came out, that was the one promo clip they were releasing online for everyone to see. I guess by now, even people who have not seen the movie Zootopia have probably at least seen that scene
Who hasn't seen
at
that
some
scene?
point in time. In fact, if you guys were looking on Twitter, we retweeted a picture of someone who worked at the DMV dressed like Flash. So I mean, but when you think about it, like what other fictional DMV characters are there?
None.
I mean, yeah, it's basically only Flash. So let's think of another movie. That's it. All right, so. What did you guys think about that 1 minute? Out of context?
What you said, it's one of the most iconic scenes from the movie. I remember, like, when there were trailers for Zootopia, you know, arriving before the movie aired, of course, hence trailers, that, like, entire movie theaters would erupt laughing watching it. And I'm like, this is promising. This is they really nailed this scene, and people like, can really relate to it, because everyone dreads the DMV. No one likes it.
Yeah, it played before like every movie that I watched in like early 2016, before the movie came out, and like every time like people would laugh, and then when I finally saw the movie and that scene came up, people are still laughing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if like they didn't see it or like because there's a lot of people that only see like 2 to 3 movies a year.
This was a real good example of like a scene that you sometimes see in a trailer that is funny that one time, and then you know people are like, okay, that's now that we're not laughing during the movie. This is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
Where, like you said, every time I saw the movie, folks. 30 times in theaters I saw this movie, and every time this scene got a reaction out of people. Every single time. It was never once just quiet. It was, I mean, I was the one guy, but, you know.
I went to the DMV recently, and I was chuckling because I had to go back about 5 times. Because I kept, like, not having the proper...
Stand up.
I wasn't having the proper paperwork that they needed, and I kept going back and forth, and I'm like, this scene just rings so true to me, how infuriating it is, or infuriating it is to go to DMV.
I think Disney started to also realize they had some gold with this one, because this was the teaser. The movie that this teaser released with was Star Wars The Force Awakens.
And it beat The Force Awakens.
So, this movie, I think they were starting. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Well, the DMV, like you're saying, the struggles for the DMV is universal. Almost every American can feel it, and even people from other countries have a similar structure, a bureaucratic structure to the DMV. So that's why everyone could identify with that one scene. And then comparing it to another anthropomorphic animal show, BoJack Horseman, in the recent season, they already had their own scene with trying to deal with the DMV and wait in line to fill out paperwork and whatnot. So, and of course, the big joke you can think of, in the world of animals, you have to make the people who work at the DMV sloths. And I actually think when they made the movie, this clip probably was the first clip they made, because it was the one that was showing like all the teasers, it was the one that was previewed online, and it's the one that got the most laughs, and I think kind of convinced them, hey, this might actually be a promising movie. So that's why I was actually wondering if they made that scene first, and then they had to try to fit it within the movie, because when we really think about it, Judy, she could have, even though she was not in the system, she was working on a case. She probably could, go back to a police station and do it, but they just wanted that laugh, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think they just kind of added it in retrospectively, or do you think it kind of still works in that context?
I think it works. I think, I mean, I think, okay, I'm not sure this is switching gears too much, but like one of the most beautiful things about movies that have animals in it is that you can look at an animal and just seeing the animal already speaks so much of their character. Nick is a fox, he's crafty and sly, and Judy's a rabbit, and they're busy, and they're trying to get things in. And then the sloth is a stroke of brilliance, being super slow. It's like, yeah, we get it. So, but to answer your question about like going back to the DMV to do that, I'm glad they had that scene in, because it is a golden scene. And maybe she could have gone back to the police department, but at that point I'm like, let's go ahead and start drifting away from the department. Let's get her out into the field and see how she interacts with the world of Zootopia.
Yeah. I think you did bring up a good point, because you kind of think of these stereotypes that each animal represents, and you think of rabbits as always jumping fast, they had to go very balanced everywhere, and sloths are exactly their polar opposite. So putting these two characters together, even not knowing what their characterizations are, like you didn't know who Flash was at that moment, but you know something beautiful was going to happen when you get these two in the room, conversation with each other. As we see, Flash was slowly speaking and Judy kind of interrupts him. And after he explains, well, I'm as fine as I can be, she's like, gives a little, alright, that was awkward. And we end there, we don't know what's going to happen the next minute, so stay tuned.
Yeah, she, I remember another beautiful thing about this, I guess, teaser was, obviously it's a scene in the movie, but it also worked because it really didn't tell you anything about the movie. It just started opening up with, there's an animal movie coming, and already there's a lot of good humor just from that one scene. So that it opened up a lot of promise for it.
Yeah.
I think when they used this as a trailer, that's what really started what would become the success that this movie had in theaters. So, yeah, it was a smart scene to use, and obviously in the context of the movie, a very hilarious scene.
All right, who saw the movie opening day? All right.
Did actually?
I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Wow, what a haters. Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I was gonna love this movie until.
Biggest fan saw it.
Who saw it opening day when the furry convention was also in town?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Poor theater.
I saw it opening day when Furry Fiesta was in Dallas. And yeah, that was kind of funny seeing a bunch of fursuiters in the theater. And when the wolves would howl on screen, they would all howl as well.
Those poor moms and dads are like, what's going on in this movie?
No, I saw it 3 different times, and I love the reactions. Like, each time I saw it, the audience would have different reactions. Like, the second time I saw it, it was very, very sparse theater. There was, like, no one there. There's, like, one black family, right, sitting in front of me. And the mother, every time, I think she identified with Assistant Mayor Bellwether, because every time Nick was trying to touch her hair, she's like, you don't touch that. You don't touch that. And then the last time I saw it, again, no spoilers since we're going minute by minute, but there's a last scene in the movie where you think something's going to happen, and when that thing does happen, the kids start crying, like their eyes out. And even when it was shown, no, it was actually a ruse, the parents had to take the kids out because they were still crying. So I guess this movie kind of did scare some kids. But it was interesting seeing all the different reactions based on the different audience
I
members.
think what gets me about Zootopia is that, like, I love it when there are studios like Disney, of course, who can just bring an original property and just knocks it out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
Like when How to Train Your Dragon came out, I was like, this is amazing. This is like, DreamWorks made this. This feels so much bigger than what they usually go after with like fart jokes. To actually have something serious. I'm not saying Zootopia was like unexpected from Disney, but I'm like, this really, again, like reinforces that new wave of like content they've been releasing. Because I keep forgetting that Zootopia came out in 2016, and then Moana came out later that year. And I was like, that was a great year for Disney.
Yep.
And both how they captured, like, because I always look at Disney where on one side there's the princess films, and the other side there is whatever the heck they want. You know, Wreck-It Ralph, you know, the old school Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Lion King.
Lion King, yeah, because when Lion King was being made, it was considered Project B, while Pocahontas was Project A. So all the good people are working on Pocahontas. No, the next big thing. Like, okay, ragtag team, go to Lion King. Good luck. Boom! Lion King just destroys it all. And the people in Pocahontas are like, oh man.
It's funny, I think, speaking of Lion King, I think College Humor did a poll of what was everyone's favorite Disney animated movies, and I think Lion King and Zootopia are like in the top 3. So if you think about the Disney animal films are like the ones that people like.
Yeah.
I've seen some pretty heated debates online where people are like, "What's better, Lion King or Zootopia?" I'm not saying we have to choose now, guys. You're in a Zootopia shirt. No, but that's the thing is like, it made me realize.
Oh no!
There's your answer.
Hero's like. But it makes you realize how passionate fans are about their movies, and I love that though. Like I think that's one of the driving forces behind like media these days, and it's always
the fandom we're a part of. People are still not considering Alicorn Twilight canon, so you know.
Look at Star Wars with EA and Battlefront and how the fans.
That's fun.
You're killing us.
All right, if you guys want to go listen to more of the podcast, you have to pay for new microtransactions. 5 minutes. All right,
$5 to each of us.
It's so cool how social media has been able to make it to where we don't need to like a middleman to like communicate how we feel, and that we can just get our voices out there, and the creators can go, okay, this is how the fans, this is how they're feeling.
Yeah.
In fact, Angry Joe actually did something on that too.
Who's that?
Angry Joe, the video game reviewer, really popular.
This is Zootopia panel. We're not talking about gamers. All right. Well, Saber, you actually did bring up a good point about how unique Zootopia was compared to princess films. But even outside of that, most of the Disney properties are based on pre-existing stories or fairy tales. Even Lion King was based off Hamlet. Zootopia was one of the few films that actually was an original property that Disney made. And actually, if you look at it, actually that's what interests me, because I saw Moana right after I saw when Zootopia and Moana came out the same year. I saw Moana. It was a great movie, but I thought, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And I kind of charted Moana was Frozen and all the Disney Renaissance films. I realized, wait, each of these films follow a very specific cookie-cutter formula. You have that opening scene, the I Want song, the run away from home, finding new friends. All of a sudden they feel like someone betrayed them, the villain, and then the ending. And then
spoilers for the future.
Jesus, I want to see Frozen 2 now.
breaks that mold, and you could see it. It is a Disney film, but it's so different than what Disney has previously done.
That's so something about Zootopia that I really liked is how in the trailers I'm like, they're kind of, this is going to be a fun LOL, bunny movie. Oh my god, it's about racism and the glass ceiling for like females and like the workforce and I was like not expecting this heavy message where for kids they're not going to go, oh, it's racism. They're going to go, oh, I feel bad for the bunny. But for adults, it's like, wow, I can like see what this is, like real world stuff going on, where it's about like, I'm not just some token bunny. I'm not just some token black guy, in the forest. It's like, no, I'm actually a person who worked hard for this. And that really speaks to me. I think it's a beautiful message that was very mature, and also not just mature because it's typical for quality films to not do well in the box office. But Zootopia was very high quality and made a whole lot of money.
Yeah, $1 billion. It gives kids that first message of like, this is why it's bad to discriminate, especially like, you don't know somebody just based off of, their background, what they look like. It's about who that person is. And so yeah, it teaches kids very early on, discrimination, don't do it.
Did you all get emotional watching the movie at all? Because like it got me during like the scene where like Nick stood up for Judy. I was like, oh my god, like this is getting me. It's so beautiful because we talked about this last night. It's not the minute we're talking about. So I'm sorry.
Spoilers.
I'm sorry. But I won't. Guys, who hasn't seen the movie? Who hasn't seen the movie? That's my girlfriend. She's lying. No, it's good. I mean, I still don't want to like go forward from what we're talking about. But
that's fine. But no, it really did deserve its Oscar win.
Yes.
That's like it was the same. This is actually the first year Disney released 2 animated films that were not, one of them was not a Pixar department. 2 from the animation studios. Zootopia and Moana. This was also the same year I think Kubo and the Two Strings came out. So we had some really high quality films. But I would say Zootopia did really earn that
absolutely
award. Despite the others, because like you were saying, it's universal. Like I think some people saw it as classism, some people saw it as racism, some people saw it as like facing the patriarchy. But that's the beauty of it, because doesn't matter what your background is, everyone could insert themselves in either Nick's or Judy's role, which I liked.
The animals, like we watched a video a few years ago. It was one of the CR, I believe. He talked about that furry movie.
Oh, Animal Olympics?
Yeah, and how like you have certain animals, like a cheetah is fast, so it's good for an athlete-like character. again, like Nick being a fox is good for someone who's like a sly, almost like a car salesman who's going to trick you out of your wallet. So, like, it's so cool how animals are universal to our species. As humanity, we're like, oh, elephants are big and loud, rah! And mice are, cheap, I'm quiet, and I'm gonna have a multi-billion-dollar company and run the world. So, he's next door, isn't he? But no, I mean, it's just so cool because it's like the writings on the wall. You don't have to like be told how these characters are. You just see them and go, oh, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that was the issue. A lot of TV shows and films that have come out within the last 2 years, especially surrounding the election, have been explicitly political, and it's kind of shoehorned in there. You kind of know what the end goal, what they're saying, their statement or philosophy is. But Zootopia is such a universal theme that like no one person can go, oh, this is a right-wing movie or this is a left-wing movie.
Yeah, it's also like the story was like worked on like years and years prior. So.
Yeah, the most beautiful thing about like going on the discrimination side of this is that I love that you can literally look at it as it's telling you that it's not just a one-way street. Anybody can get it, and that's I think something that's sometimes lost in the real world. And it's like, oh,
there's that scene where the tiger, that very handsome tiger who'll treat you right, he sits down on the tram, and like the mother bunny and like takes her baby bunny and kind of like holds her close, and I'm like, I can't relate to the tiger for that, but I'm sure people in the audience who watched the movie can go, yeah, I felt like that before. Where you feel like you're the scary one, when in reality you've done nothing
When
wrong.
you walk around with your brony shirt, you never get that.
or the scene where go back to the jungle predator, and it's like, I'm from the savannah or something. Like, I don't know, like you don't. It doesn't have to be like too ham-fisted. It's like we can kind of draw from point A to point B and be, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like from the real world.
Actually, no, that actually happened to me. I wasn't wearing a brony shirt, but I was in the theaters for the I think My Little Pony movie, and there was assigned seating, so I had to sit in one specific seat, and there's like a kid and her mom right next to me. They saw me, this guy like discreetly got up and just moved one seat to the left. Oh, okay.
You should have gotten up and walked over one more seat closer. Change them throughout the movie.
But something like that has happened, and it's like, oh yeah, everyone can identify. Not only can you identify with the tiger, like I'm sure there's some people who identify with the mother and the child at some point. It's like, oh, there's a scary person on the bus. Let's kind of just move away.
Oh my gosh! The scene that got me the most, I think, actually. I'm just going to ADD here, whatever. Can we talk about spoilers? Is it okay? I mean, is there anybody
only
who cares?
for you?
But just make sure in the audience, is there anybody who cares about spoilers?
I don't mind.
I don't care.
Well, again, everyone's seen the movie.
Okay,
So the podcast rule is we're allowed to break one rule per episode, so I'm allowing you to break that rule.
Thank
for
you.
this
So, not Little Gideon, gosh. I'm sorry, Judy. I'm sorry. When Gideon Gray, the very end of the movie, when he like saw Judy when they were grown ups again after they were kids and he bullied her, and he was like, "Listen, Judy, I had a lot of aggression, and I'm sorry." It's like this guy went to therapy for this. He knew he had a problem. He went through the motions of figuring it out, and now he's in a better place. I'm like, that's so cool for this guy to get to that point on his own, and for the parents to be friends with him.
Yeah.
And you see Judy's like, okay, this can happen.
I didn't see that coming in the movie.
Me neither.
Like I thought it was just gonna be your typical, oh man, that guy was a jerk.
Yeah, they broke that stereotype.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I mean, what other film takes your generic bully character and makes him a character with development?
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, dude, Beauty was a jerk in that movie.
I tell you.
That's another furry movie.
Gaston, there was a trampoline that caught him at the very end, and he came out of that just fine.
Oh, so he literally had ups and downs.
Yeah. No one dies like Gaston.
That's actually that's something else I saw when I was rewatching all these Disney films. The villain always dies because of something they done.
Clayton from Tarzan?
Yeah.
Tarzan's he's like, let me not, let's make this preventable. I don't want you to hang yourself. He's like, I'm doing what I want.
That's kind of
I have a question for you. Do you like Bellwether as a villain? Do you think she's like?
Oh, do we know she's a villain yet? Oh yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, but as in there was that question of you got the.
Go ahead. ahead.
You got the current Disney revival with these from the Moana,
Yes.
Zootopia, and whatnot. One of the complaints about this current revival is that the villains are not as good as it used to be. People compare about the Renaissance about like Ursula, Jafar being like these big villains of like Disney, and then
Whereas like for Moana, Zootopia, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, even like they've all had a villain that has like not started out as a villain.
yeah, it's
I think
like kind of a mystery veil there.
Yeah, they called it villain in disguise, and there's always a red herring character. I think Alan Tudyk always in all these movies, Alan Tudyk voices the red herring character who you think is a villain. So
I think up until Zootopia he was.
Yeah, because Duke Weselton, he was Weaselton in this movie.
Weaselton.
He was King Candy in Wreck-It Ralph, but in almost every single one of these movies, since Bolt was the first that he started voicing in, he was a character who was kind of the red herring if you didn't know if he was a villain or not. So I think you're right. The animation revival, the Disney revival specifically, does have a unique way of portraying the villains. But I also think it's part of the greater part of the animation revival where, like, so if you guys don't know about history, there's always a period called the Golden Age. There's always a period called the Dark Age, the Renaissance, and another Dark Age, and then there's a revival. So it follows European history. If we think about the 90s,
Where's the brony fan?
The animation crusades, where the animators go to the promised land to take it back.
So in the European Renaissance, the artists and writers went back and looked at the Greek and Roman Golden Age, and basically a lot of people say the animation Renaissance got started when John Kay went back and did Ren and Stimpy, looking back at the Golden Age of animation. Likewise, it got started for Disney when they went back and did Little Mermaid. Yep. Now, the animation revival happened because instead of looking back at the Golden Age, people were looking back at the Renaissance period, seeing what was great about them. But then you could kind of see that all of them kind of inform each other. Like, it's no coincidence that My Little Pony and Adventure Time both came out in 2010, and they both have a very, very unique way of crafting their episodes, and they were both made by folks who worked at Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon and Disney during the 90s Renaissance period, and that kind of inspired all these future shows that came out, like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe, and all these shows have like kind of the reformed character as well, like the bully who kind of became reformed, or the hidden villain, the unexpected villain. And you can kind of see this mirrored in what's happening with the Disney revival as well, which is just, I wonder if it's something that's kind of in that zeitgeist, or if it's just like that phase, that time we're in now, where we're trying to reinvent these fictional characters.
I don't know, I feel like humor has evolved with the times.
Yeah.
Where, like, if you look at the new DuckTales, like, the triplets, the nephews, they actually have personality now, and they make jokes that are, like, I don't know, they're more relevant, like, with the generation.
They're basically our Rainbow Dash.
Yeah, or they reinvented Wabby for the show, because she used to be, I'm a girl, I like pink, and I like dolls, I'm scared. And now she's like a go-getter who, like, actually is like a spy almost. And it's like, that's really kind of a breath of fresh air that's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
She original.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, they actually have the old character, like, against the wall with, like, a needle.
Also, we apologize for everyone crammed in this small room.
There's some more seating over here.
If anybody would like to, like, just scoot over on the seats, so people have more room.
We did request a larger room, but I guess they gave us a small room, and as you can see, even those panelists are kind of crammed in this small area.
We're just good friends, that's all.
All right.
I got a quick question for you.
Sure, we'll take the questions right now.
What did you guys think of the original concepts with the shock collars?
I don't like that.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Actually, I think I mentioned this at one of our previous panels, but it's still a great, interesting concept, but it does not work in the context of this Zootopia universe. But the idea I had for future Zootopia movies would be kind of in the style of the Tezuka films. If you've seen Tezuka's anime and animated films, he would reuse the exact same characters as actors, but in completely different roles. So I'd love to see like an anthology of Zootopia films, but they all take place in different universes and worlds, but have the exact same characters, just portraying different roles. So we could realistically have that shock collar one, or the one where Nick is doing his spy work in that other concept.
It's the shock collar stuff seems a bit too dark, I think.
Yeah.
Because even as an adult, I'm like, that's really dark for a Disney film.
Yeah.
I'm glad they took.
Yeah, and I
half
think
of
the
it.
message wouldn't have as quite the impact
Yeah.
because it would be very one-sided.
It would
Correct me
be-
if I'm wrong. Nick was the original main character, and then they switched to Judy, right?
Yeah, and it was also
In 9
very black
months.
and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know who the bad guys were, and you know who the good guys
Yeah.
were with the shock collars.
There wasn't a lot of thought that would go into like watching a movie like that because, like you guys said, it's very it's blunt as far as bad, good, and
Which is very much so a Western.
I think and I think they said the creators were like the biggest issue that they had with that original concept was that nobody was able to relate to any of the characters,
Which is surprising how this movie became a success because you hear horror stories of films and scripts being rewritten over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And Zootopia, that wasn't even one of the concepts. Like the spy film idea was
Jack
also
Savage.
another concept. And then there was one where Nick was doing his amusement parks for predators. There's they had at least 10 different ideas that they went through and reinvented until they finally realized, hey, Judy's our main character, not Nick. And Nick was the main character in all these previous incarnations. And it's impressive how they worked on this, patch together, throw away stuff, patch together, throw away stuff, and it still came out a fantastic film. So I guess it's like what
Sorry
Orson
guys,
Welles
phone
said.
died.
we
No,
have
no worries.
cameras
It's like
all
what
over.
Orson Welles said, sometimes the best works come out of struggle and adversity.
Well, Star Wars: A New Hope was a disaster, an absolute disaster of a film. That they were like, this is we're dead, and but it was saved on the editing room floor, as they say.
Yeah, George Lucas was editing it, re-editing it.
No, it was some other editors who had saved it.
Oh, really?
'Cause George
Yeah.
Lucas's cut sucked. And all his friends, I'm serious. They showed it.
Mr. Blanket, everybody.
I'm just saying, when you think of Star Wars, it's you have to keep in mind that Lucas only directed the first film and the prequels.
Yeah.
But he did A New Hope. Irvin Kershner did the second one, and then I forget the third guy.
He did as well, I think.
Irvin Kershner did the third one.
Well,
No, it was somebody else.
Lawrence Kazan.
Lawrence
wrote-
Kasdan.
Yeah, he did
So
the
basically,
third one.
George did the first one. It was a disaster. He showed it. You die, Nick. he showed it to some
killing
colleagues, and his colleagues were like, "George, this sucks." And he's like, "Oh, this sucks, man." And then the editors took care of it, and they fixed it. And and a little fun fact: the only good part about the film, outside of them fixing with the editing, was of course the music. John Williams provided.
Yeah.
That was the only category. They're like, "Wow, this excels."
When the first cut was shown, there was, like you said, there was a big group of guys that were making movies back in the day.
I wouldn't be surprised if Spielberg was in it.
And everybody was like, dude, you literally should just stop what you're doing. This is terrible. There was one person in that room that said, this could be big.
Was it Spielberg?
It was Spielberg.
No, you guys are both right because that was consensus of a lot of film historians that it was saved on the editing room floor because and clips of the original version are on YouTube and if you see it, Darth Vader was still speaking with a British accent.
It's a fun story. The guy who actually was in the suit,
Yeah.
he was I think he was some Scottish guy, and they actually have cuts on YouTube of him talking because he went into the movie thinking I'm the voice of Vader. He was like, "I'll tell this place apart, and we'll go find the princess alive." And then they were like, he didn't know until he saw it that he's like, "Where's my voice?" I think if I'm
Why is
correct,
Mufasa speaking?
he actually won't go to conventions because he's still ticked off to this day. George Lucas.
Oh my God.
The exact opposite happened to Black Griffin on Finding Dory. He went, that's my voice.
Yeah, our buddy Black Griffin is the voice of the bird Becky.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Black Griffin is the voice of Becky.
Yeah, the loon in Finding Dory.
Yeah, he found out when he went to see it in theaters, and he was like, I remember doing this.
He told me that he even spent an evening talking to Andrew Stanton, the director of the movie. So
they never told him what it was for, and he was just like, okay, have fun with those.
something to do with how if it's a certain amount of footage, they don't have to credit you. I don't know. Whatever.
All right. Now back to Zootopia.
I'm sorry.
No. That's a good point to bring up. But this is a Zootopia panel, and we are at a convention that's only 2 miles away from Disneyland and California Adventure. So I'm guessing you three went to California Adventure. And
Met Nick and Judy. I'm jealous.
Did you guys see Nick and Judy?
Not last Thursday. We did not.
We actually, Judy wasn't around that day.
She was working with ZDP work. They were saying.
Yep, she was out. So we were all over the place, and unfortunately didn't get a chance to see Nick. But
I saw Judy at Disney World.
Yes, you danced with Judy at Disney.
You want to hear the story, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so I went to Disney with my girlfriend, and we found out that there was only one Zootopia, like I guess, attraction there, and that was during a parade where Judy and Nick were on this float. And I was like, okay, where does the float stop? Can I say hi to her? And they're like, okay, yeah, the float stops over here. She gets off the float and she might, wave at you. So I was ready. And she hopped off the float and I was waving at her. And then, I guess the Disney guards were like, no, do not cross the line. Stay here, stay here. And Judy was like, walking up to me doing like this hand motion like, give me a hug! I'm like, I don't care, Disney. And it's on film, so I gave Judy a big hug. I was surprised because like I'm just from a statistical point of view, there were a lot of Japanese people who were like, Judy! Like they're like swarming around here. Because my girlfriend told me that Japanese love like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and I guess they also love Judy as well. From that pool sample of people.
Yeah.
All Japanese people love Judy.
I think ACRacebest pointed out in his how Zootopia broke $1 billion video. He said the big market that they needed to crack was Japan.
It was.
Yeah.
I guess mission accomplished.
It went well.
Yeah. All right, sorry.
No. I love that story because I think I guess if you guys were here for the BronyCon panel, I talked about my first time visiting California Adventure, and I was not allowed to get next to the characters as well. Nick actually was done with his autograph signings, and they're trying to like push him out. They're saying, "Yeah, you can't see him. He's going to the break room." And like on his way to the break room, he saw me, and he's like, "Hey, come!" And I guess the security was like, "I guess you could go to him." And Nick just went up to me and like gave me a great big hug, and was like, look at my outfit. And he was like, "Hey, I love your outfit and stuff." And it's funny because that Nick, I think, kind of became, it was the opposite. I thought I would be the Nick stalker. Yeah. He kind of became my stalker.
Really? You're like in the bathroom and he's just like,
little furry feet.
No, because
I see you, Nick!
No, because I passed by that, they were doing the signings at the Little Mermaid area, and I had to pass by that place like 3 other times. And each time I passed by, he might have been in the middle of taking pictures, but he would stop completely and just wave at me and try and pick him. I'm like,
that's so sweet. Right now. Can I share a quick story quickly?
Sure.
Okay, so my girlfriend and I went to Disney World earlier this year in March. We were at the Animal Kingdom, and this was one of the funniest interactions I've ever seen between a cast member in a suit and an attendee at the park. I say interaction, but it's more like the lack of interaction. So it was Baloo the bear was in a suit, and he's like walking down to the restroom. He's like waving at people, and you know those suits, so like your eyes are kind of blocked out. Well, this little kid was running up, and he went like this, like to give a hug to Baloo, but Baloo was looking the other way, so he was like waving and walked right past the kid. Like this, and he goes, I wish I had a camera.
That seems like a movie.
It does. It really does.
Actually, someone candidly caught that moment of Nick like calling me up because they didn't even know it would happen. Someone caught it. I think someone from Zootopia News Network recorded as well. My friends recorded it as well. But okay, so the end of the story is like the 4th time I passed by Nick, he like wanted me to come up again. I was like, okay. So I went up to Nick and he kind of hugged me and he started like pressing his face against me, like kissing, and I heard kissing noises from inside the mask.
I don't want to brag, but I've gotten those from Judy. So
I actually, on Thursday, I actually did go to California Adventure again, and I got to see Nick again. So let's see if I have some pictures of Nick.
You too, huh?
So this one was a different Nick, and I was dressed like Nick, and he was like...
He thought he was looking in a mirror. That's
he was actually very, very... This one was very, very... This was a different...
I like how you guys are doing the same poses.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but he was really trying to be playful with me, and he was like, he loved my outfit. He wanted us to compare ties.
That's great.
Which was kind of funny.
Oh my god.
And he wanted this picture. I didn't post this picture, but
he can't believe it.
But no,
He's killing Nick, guys.
But I felt bad because I think I was holding up the line and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. But he's like, no, you're taking more pictures. And he was like, and he took like 2 minutes to pose this scene with us. Like, you have to stand here. It's like motioning with, his hands. It's like, yes, here, hold your popsicle and do this. So that was pretty
See, he
fun.
gets it. He understands.
And then I was with All Levels and his girlfriend as well, and he was the one who made the song at the beginning. But yeah, they also was playing around with Nick. Nick was very playful. In fact, this was supposed to be their picture. He called me back to take a picture with them. I don't know. I guess
He's actually trying to get you to stay there so you can go home early.
Oh yeah, but I guess the Knicks really liked us. And then when I was in Disney World, I went there for their Halloween event, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and Nick and Judy were apparently the police patrol that cleared off the streets for the parade. So I waited for both parades, and I didn't see Nick and Judy. Apparently they were only at the end of Main Street, which was a little bit upsetting because I wanted to see them. But they have this Shake It Move It parade where the floats come in and they're all dancing on the floats.
That's the one I saw.
Yeah. Nick was on the float and and then they were saying, no, you can't get by the floats. But Nick came down, he saw me, but this Nick was very different. He was more aggressive. He saw me in the outfit and he was like, I think he was like, why are you copying my style, bro? Because he was like pointing at me, like pressing my chest very hard and just looking at my outfit and just like filling me up. But yeah.
Just steal my job!
And then he like did a random dance with me, but he was like really more aggressive than the previous Knicks, which was kind of interesting. But yeah, since you guys are here in town for the event, make sure to stop by California Adventure if you want to see Nick and Judy. Judy is the one that she doesn't appear often, but I'm thinking it's because she's a small cast member, and small cast members who could be in suits are kind of in demand.
There's also days where it's only Judy and not Nick. But yeah, like you said, if you guys, they're fun to interact with, especially when they're there together, because they play off of each other very well. I just realized she's handling right now. But my fiance now, I just recently got engaged at Disneyland. And we went over to where Judy and Nick were. And I walked up to them like, guys, look what I did, and they're looking at the ring, and of course Nick's like looking at it like, oh, right. And Miley's looking at him like, all right, Nick, now it's your turn, and you just see Judy slowly like look over, like. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you.
It is.
Disney is officially mum on Wild Hops, but the people in the Nick and Judy outfits at the parks, they're all over each other.
I don't know how mum like Rich Moore is about it. He's like hearts. Oh no.
It depends because like when I went to a park the first time, Judy was flirting with Chip and Dale passed by and she grabbed Chip. She was flirting with Chip. And then Nick was so bad. I think there's actually a video on YouTube about it. And there's pictures. But Nick was so sad he just walked away to a corner and put his hands in his palms and cried. Judy was just flirting with Chip the entire time, and Dale was kind of just in the corner like, okay, this is weird. But yeah, it was funny that they were doing these weird interactions.
Inadvertent shipping.
Did you guys see that picture where they were on the parade and they actually kissed?
Yes, that's the one I was talking about.
Good.
Did you guys see that picture?
I don't know if I have. I want to give a shout out real quick for those that don't know. Obviously, if you guys are here, you're probably at least a mild fan of Zootopia. You mentioned it earlier, the Zootopia News Network. It's basically like Equestria Daily that we know for ponies, but for Zootopia. And there's a lot. That's where I keep up with like all the news in regards to Zootopia.
I'm pals with a few of the staff there.
There you go. So check it out, Zootopia News Network. It's a cool site, and like I said, it's actually structured off of like with Equestria Daily's format, so you'll recognize it.
All right, cool. How was your day at the park? You didn't talk too much about it. Did you get to see Nick and Judy? Or?
Oh no, I didn't see any mascots really. But
oh yeah, and you said you wanted to.
Yeah. But yeah, we went on a lot of rides, and because I was very tired on Thursday because I didn't sleep like any on the plane here. So I was walking around Disneyland like on no sleep. So.
But where did you guys enjoy it the most?
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain is always great.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, because they don't have that on the west.
Do they still have Thunder Mountain?
Yeah. I was actually able to go on Thunder Mountain this time because the first time I went, because the last time I was here, the Thunder Mountain was closed, so I wasn't able to go on it. So I went on it this time. It was very fun.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, I guess we still have about 15 minutes left, so I guess we're open for questions. If you want to take questions, raise your hand, and I'll try to call you in order of being raised. All right. I think you were waiting first. So, what question do you have?
So, have you guys read the comic by Mr. Mead called Judy is Dead?
What?
That doesn't sound like a comic I would seek out.
Yeah,
Let's read it in front of him.
No.
It's actually a very, very, very sad comic.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something I'm going to be reading.
Where Nick is the chief of police.
Well, now the spoilers are coming out. Now I know about
That's
Nick.
all I'm going to say.
No.
I highly recommend it because it's a very, very good comic and it's a really good story.
All right.
And they actually interviewed, CNN actually interviewed the artist of that.
Sweet.
And your question?
I've seen that. It was just a little too much angst.
What's the next question?
What's your question?
So, do you guys think there's any aspects of the movie that weren't added in from the original script that might have been able to put it past Frozen in the box office?
Frozen's an anomaly. Frozen comes across. It's a movie that hit on all cylinders in a big way because its song went viral, and that's something that in Zootopia's case, I guess the only argument is it needed a song to go viral. It resonated really well with a lot, like talking about Japan and how well Zootopia did there. In Japan, Frozen did like 5 times what Zootopia did. It was
People
insane.
just loved Frozen.
Yeah,
Which is weird because Frozen when it came out wasn't initially an explosion. It was like over time it got like
It was one of the, I think it's like the leggiest movie that ever existed.
Is it bad that I didn't see Frozen till this year?
No. But yeah, like where Zootopia did really well was China actually. That's where it was like.
Yeah, that's the market people are always trying to untap nowadays.
Yeah, it's weird because they don't like ghosts, so like Ghostbusters couldn't be filmed shown there
because of ghosts.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What?
So the
They
Chinese
don't have like paranormal stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's why I think the Mummy they had to redub it so that she was some mystic ancient god or something like
and
that.
the Mummy was going to do so well.
Fun fact, Disney related, is that everyone was so surprised when China allowed Coco to be shown.
Really?
They're letting Coco be shown because it involves like afterlife stuff, and everyone's like, "Well, we know what country isn't going to let it in," and they were like, "No, that's okay."
I tell you right now, the reason why Pacific Rim 2 is being made is because of China. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Really?
Guarantee it.
And why they might be doing a Warcraft sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was surprising. The Warcraft movie in China.
I'm not too surprised because China loves big like action and fantasy and sci-fi and
it's also
graphics.
easily dubbed as well because if
dear
it
God,
doesn't
I
take
can
place
only
in the real
imagine how
world.
well the Transformers.
Actually, one thing the Chinese specifically do like, because I guess they're kind of anti-American, they do like movies where the American government is kind of the bad guy or the government in general is the bad guy.
That's not true.
Which is probably why they.
With that behind it.
That's why the like the Transformer movies, they were saying they liked it because the American military were kind of seen as the aggressors. And likewise, if you think about Zootopia, yeah, it's kind of the bureaucracy that's kind of the bad individuals.
Well,
so.
Pacific Rim 2 is kind of, I think, going to be hitting on that where it's like, the monsters are dead, but the government is still alive, or something like that. So the biggest monster of all is still there.
Yeah, and you had a question?
Well, I wanted to make point out something about the minute that we've been talking about.
Oh, sure, yeah.
The whole scene.
With what?
I saw that back at D23. That was and I thought, the thing that bugged me about the advertising about it was I thought they kind of blew their chance with that one because everybody had already seen it by the time the movie came around. But one thing that bugs me about that scene is that it has become so ubiquitous. I remember when AFI actually awarded one of their top 100 films to be Zootopia. Wow. So they did this compilation on YouTube, and what do they show from Zootopia? That scene. And I'm like, there's so many iconic, important, and serious things in that film, and that's what you show? So what's always bugged me about that scene, I mean, it's wonderful and it's funny, but I think it kind of sells the movie. If that's all you know about Zootopia, I think it sells the movie short, because I don't think you're going to realize what I loved about Zootopia wasn't how funny it was how serious it was.
Yep.
I get your point, but at the same time, I think that scene got a lot more people to see the movie in the first place. And then people probably agreed with you with, like, it wasn't the humor, it was how deep the movie was.
Well, look at, like, Frozen, like, they hit it with the magic of, like, you know, it's a fantasy snowland with princesses, and then you've got, like, you know, Elsa crying over her dead icicle sister, you know?
It's actually based
spoilers.
on
No,
But I'm just saying, like you gotta net the majority of your audience in with something that's a bit sweeter if you're, I think, doing like a Disney animated film. I get you though. I get what you're saying.
As a longtime furry fan, what I loved, I got to go to the Annie Awards and I got to meet the directors themselves.
Nice.
What I loved about Zootopia was that it explained something that a lot of furry fans have been trying to tell people for a long time, and frankly, so does ponies. That talking animal stuff can be used to tell serious stories for grown-ups that make sense.
I mean, look at the government. The Democrats have donkeys and Republicans have elephants. So, your friends found me.
Alright. Who else has a question? Alright, you right there.
So, hypothetically here, let's say that Disney XD greenlights a Zootopia animated series.
Yes!
And you all get to pitch an episode. What do you pitch?
A homicide case.
The birds finally came back to Zootopia and they want it for themselves.
What's a human?
Wild house.
What happened to all the primates?
Yeah, I don't need anything but just slice of life episodes of Judy and Nick going on dates.
I actually would be curious of like kind of like a prison movie where maybe they're accidentally thrown in prison because accidentally
the longest mile or yard.
They were mistaken for someone else or they were framed, and it's just them in prison trying to deal with it. Like that could be probably fun.
I never expected a Mayor Bellwether spin-off show. It's been 7 years.
I'm curious. Just by a raise of hands, I'm gonna have an either or. So it's either show or movie or a sequel. What would you guys rather? A show? Raise of hands. Sequel.
Is the show going to be...
Can I raise both hands?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes, Jack.
Is the show going to be 2D or CGI?
It needs to be 2D.
It would probably have to be 2D.
I would love it to be.
My concern with the show is just I feel like I'd be worried if they didn't get all like the VAs back.
True.
That's
Just watch the Ozarks if you want to see Jason Bateman be a con artist again.
You know what I want is GTA Zootopia.
Yeah!
A video game!
Yes!
Yeah!
Yeah.
I would play the hell out of that.
Okay, we have a question back there.
More lighthearted question. In regards to your comments about Alan Tudyk and
yeah.
always the red herring one. So you know he was in Moana too, right?
Yes, and he was the.
Hey. So you're saying that you thought that?
Okay, that one was a special exception because of the significance of Moana being a film about a Polynesian princess. They wanted every single voice actor and everyone working on the project to be of Polynesian descent, and Alan Tudyk is European descent, so he couldn't be there. But he has also been in every single Disney movie since Bolt, so they couldn't really ruin that chain of not having him in there. So they had to give him some role, so they just gave him the
What role did he play in Bolt?
I forgot, but I know that was like one of his first ones he was in.
It's cool.
All right, another question. You right there.
So with going back to the 1 minute with the DMV scene, so we have the sloths. And they're slow. They're they take their time with everything and all that. For a movie that goes about trying to create a situation where everything goes against the stereotype, trying to break down the movie's core concepts into don't judge a book by its cover. Don't you think that scene, which doesn't kind of embody that principle, because it seems to focus purely on the stereotypes, do you think that's antithetical to the messages of the movie?
No, because I think the movie's not so much saying that everybody's equal or that you don't live by the stereotypes. I think it's more about living like up to your I guess full expectation as in regards to with the sloth. His limitation is he's naturally slow. This is how they're able to move. With Judy, she's short. With I feel like the message wasn't so much about like saying no, we're all on level ground, but it's more about like not letting that dictate how you treat people. Like, yeah, if someone's slower, like physically slower, it doesn't mean you have to be like, you know, I guess like assume like other things about their life and just like come to conclusions. Like for Nick, everyone's like, well, you're a fox, so we're gonna assume that you're a jerk or you're probably trying to pull something. You know, so to me, like for me, I don't think it was. I think it obviously hit on like a stereotype of sloth, so to speak, but at the same time, it's like it's just the physicality of a sloth.
You can still drive a car fast.
The other one back there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a scene in the movie where I believe the weasel is like selling like bootleg DVDs.
Yeah.
Or something like, and it's basically like parodies of like Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph. And so like they're animals, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that came to my mind is like, what are movies like Jungle Book and Lion King are?
Documentaries.
Alright. You.
Yeah, when I was watching Zootopia, one of the parts that really made an impression was Judy's parents, how later in the movie, even though they had had prejudices about, you know, the predators, they began to interact with Gideon Gray, you know, with his whole hiccup thing. I was wondering what you guys thought about it.
We talked about it earlier briefly. I'm not sure if we arrived later in the panel, but we're saying that it's cool to see how Gideon kind of came around on his own, and it wasn't your typical like villain or bully where he's like, you know, I hate you, and that's it.
I'm still a bad guy.
Yeah, he's like because I've seen people like that. You know, I think a lot of us who grow up after a while from like middle school, high school, look back and go, wow, I was either a jerk or weird or I've grown up now and I'm in a better place. And for Gideon, like you can tell he had a lot of guilt. He was sorry. He got a chance to apologize. Judy accepted it. And I think it was very therapeutic for both of them.
Yeah, I think it opens up. We don't see it a lot in movies where you are shown that even like characters that were jerks as kids grow up. And a lot of times, you know, people that were jerks as kids start to realize, or like you said, there's evidence that he may have gone to therapy, you know, the way he was talking about like...
Could you imagine like Scar? Like the scene Mufasa like, Scar, brother, help me. And he's like, I'm sorry, Mufasa, I've just been a real big jerk. That's okay if I pull me up.
Hey, if there was ever good timing for it, that was the time. You know what, you're right. What am I doing?
Well, I was referring more to Judy's parents.
How they changed.
Yeah,
That's like it's two-sided almost. Like we see how Gideon changed, but also their parents were starting to open up to okay, there's an outside world out there that you know. It seemed like they were so stuck in their bunny burrow way.
Yeah.
And then once Junie
you don't deserve this hat,
Junie.
No, the one of the I think the greatest changes for a person is if you have a prejudice, like to get out there and hang out with that person. You know, whether it's a different sexual orientation or whatever, like you learn that they're just people like you and that the stereotypes that you believe in aren't real. And it sounds like Judy's parents, they're like, okay, we'll hang out with Gideon and his family. Oh, they're just like us. They're just average people, animals. And that's kind of what killed off their prejudice. And they're like, okay, maybe we were wrong.
The movie has so many things that it hits upon with so many different characters, and that's one of the things I love about it, is stuff like that. Like, it's a little scene in the movie, but it tells so much about character development for a lot of characters.
Well, in the future, if there's specific moments any of you three would like to talk about, I'd like to invite you guys back on the podcast
That'd be wonderful.
just for those specific moments.
Yes.
Yeah, this is all fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess before we have some more questions. Okay, I think we have time for 2 more questions, so we'll take people who haven't asked yet. So, yes.
ACRacebest, was it necessary to buy everything?
Yes. I am still working on buying everything. In fact.
I'm sorry, everything.
For those that don't know, I made a song parody of Try Everything to Buy Everything, where I'm dancing around with all the stuff. And I didn't realize while I was making it, I hadn't bought like any of that stuff yet. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks after I released the video where I'm like, wait, I do want that thing. I do want this plush. I do want this shirt. And so I actually pre-told the story of myself without knowing it.
That's hilarious. And last question to you.
Okay, so if they make a sequel for Zootopia, I feel like what has been missing that I noticed in the first film, but what I've missed are those of sea creatures and birds and lizards. Like, where exactly are they? Because Zootopia is like, it's all wild animals. But
they're eating them.
Yeah. but even dogs, dogs and cats. Like.
So there's a lot of question in that question. The swimming creatures unfortunately do show up in the film. We don't see them, but there is a fish market. They are actually. I think that's the main food
They
source.
never evolved.
They never made it, guys.
Yeah, it's like fish and insects are the things that the carnivores
So that's
eat.
like the main
Bug
food.
protein.
Birds are referenced in the song, the Try Everything song, so they must exist somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
Lizards, they live in Australia. And then you talked about dogs and cats, and the creators of the movie actually specifically left out dogs and cats because those are actually domesticated animals.
Yeah, they're domesticated. So we see like different like big cats.
When you think about the, what was it, 1960, the Robin, Disney's Robin Hood and everything, a lot of the characters were kind of a mix with wolves, dogs, foxes, and lions and everything. But there were dogs in there.
That's true.
But in this movie, they're assuming that animals evolved in a specific path.
Yeah.
And
without humans.
Humans crafted dogs and cats to fit our needs.
It's something we
So
created.
humans don't live in Zootopia, so dogs are wolves. They never became dogs.
Dogs are basically our wolf sonas that we just wanted to
That's why my poodle's trying so hard.
All right. Well, I guess before we go, I would like to have our guests, plug themselves one last time.
My name is Saberspark. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter.
I'm ACRacebest. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm Paleosteno, and you can also find me on YouTube and Twitter.
And if you guys enjoyed this, be sure to check us out at Zootopia Minute. We're on zootopiaminute.tumblr.com. You can follow us also on Twitter at Zootopia Minute, and we're on YouTube at Zootopia Minute. And we'd like to thank you for joining our panel at Everfree.
Hey, thank you.
And we'll send you out with a song by All Levels at Once, who's right behind you.
Yeah.
Any celebrity, I need your help. I need you have 2 copies of Civ 5 and
I'm trying to think. That's an interesting question.
I love the game. One of them is a mod that you can use to try. I tried to create my own
What
custom
voice
nations.
actor would you have in